So I was reading this book right here, The Art of Peace, and about halfway through the teachings within it, I realized that the words of wisdom noted down from the founder of Aikido was as being quite proto-Crowleyan. And so where this sense is then encapsulated is in the statement that, quote, "The way of a warrior is based on the humanity, love, and sincerity. The heart of marital valor is the bravery, wisdom, love, and friendship. Emphasis on the physical aspects of a warrior is futile, for the power of the body is always limited," unquote. Which then is echoed in the Thelemic dictum of, quote, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will," unquote. Then said, exploring the idea of brute strength alone as flimsy and farcical as a body ages and metabolism changes its capabilities, with the added notion that, there's always a bigger fish, as Liam Neeson said as Qui-Gon Jinn in Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. From there, it becomes able to be interpreted via a more satanic framework, noting the 11th rule of the earth by Anton LaVey, which advises, quote, "When walking in open territory, bother no one. If someone bothers you, ask them to stop. If he does not stop, destroy him," unquote. And giving him outline on how to do so without systematically ruining one's own life simultaneously, quote, "Warriorship is none other than the vitality that sustained all life," unquote. In essence, what that means is tooth and claw is not all which exists. With that, it's been said that an eye for an eye makes the world blind, but this is very much false, and inherently so. You have two eyes. If you're stupid enough to lose both, then clearly you're the idiot who fucked around and found out twice, obviously not learning from the first time that actions have consequences. As Newton said, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's simple cause and effect. Punishment fits the crime. Self-preservation is the highest law, and if you cannot preserve your eyes, the vital organ of your body, what use are you to yourself as an individual? Demonstrating this is the founder of the philosophical system of Objectivism based in rational self-interest. Ayn Rand put it well when she said, quote, "The concept of man as a heroic being, with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life, with productive achievement as his noblest activity, and reason as his absolute. Now, how reasonable are you if you have by your own actions lost both your eyes? And how noble are you in productive achievement if you have faced such an example of Lex Talionis? How heroic and happy are you, having been responsible for the loss of a vital sense? Clearly, the answer to all of these is very little." Which then goes to, as Lucius Cornelius Sulla put it, quote, "No friend ever served me, and no enemy ever wronged me, who I have not repaid in full," unquote. Lex Talionis, in essence, Lex Talionis can go either way, in your favor or your detriment. It depends on who you surround yourself with and how you interact with them and others in the world. Do unto others as they do unto you, of course. This doesn't mean that you should go out and be a pretentiously solipsistic prick, going around administering judgment on anyone who should slightly wrong you. Some people are simply psychic vampires who are not worth any of your time. However, simultaneously, it would be illogical to let yourself be walked over. And yeah, that was, it's actually funny, I wrote half of that in 2023, and then I read this, and then I read this while I was rewatching the Karate Kid movies. It was really interesting, actually, because I felt like, I don't know, it's kind of got me on this thing similarly to whenever I was watching Gen V and I started wondering about the idea of fault, which then I guess goes to innocence, but, with honor, it's such an interesting thing, because, it's like, there's this idea of fighting with honor, or dying with dignity, but then it's like, people will complain about war crimes, and it's like, it's a war. There's no such thing as a fucking war crime in a war. I'm just gonna say that. There's not. But at the same time, it's like, what is that? Is it as simple as maybe, Mike Ehrmantraut said to Price in Better Call Saul, where, he's explaining, you can be a good criminal, bad criminal, you know, he's known honorable thieves and bad priests, you know. But if you say you're going to do something, you keep your word. So I'm wondering what of that is, you know, what really is honor? Is it just, you know, this? I mean, it's obviously this subjective ideal, and it doesn't have consistency to it, but there is also this seeming consistency to it, sort of like the idea of innocence. So I'm wondering what is that? You know, and then I guess in the context of this, it would be justice. And so, you know, what is justice but, you know, the revenge in most cases? It's revenge, as Nacho's father points out when Mike Ehrmantraut goes to explain to him that his son had been executed for going against the Salamancas and the cartel. So, you know, so that's it. I read this. It was a good book. It was a really good book. I highly recommend it, actually. The Art of Peace. This is a pocket edition. This one actually, this one is kind of interesting. It used to be owned by Bill Ayers. So that's kind of interesting. And yeah.